The water was colder than Sophia expected. She gasped as it touched her skin, then surrendered to it completely. The corporate retreat felt miles away now, though it was barely 20 minutes down the trail. 20 minutes from Julian Kane, her boss, the man whose steel-gray eyes followed her through every meeting. Every late night at the office, the waterfall thundered above her, drowning out everything else. She floated on her back, naked and free, watching clouds drift through the canopy. This was peace. This was hers. She didn't hear his footsteps. When she finally stood in the shallows, water streaming down her body, she saw him. Julian, frozen at the tree line. His perfectly tailored suit looked wrong here among the wild ferns and moss-covered stones. His face was stripped of its usual control. His lips parted. His hand gripped a branch like he might fall without it. Time stopped. Sophia's arms flew across her chest. Heat flooded her face, her neck, her entire body. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. I didn't know anyone was here. His voice came out rough, broken. I'll leave. But he didn't move. His eyes stayed locked on hers, burning with something she'd only seen in her most dangerous dreams. Turn around. Her voice was barely a whisper. He blinked, turned slowly. His shoulders were rigid, his hands clenched at his sides. Sophia dove back into the water, her heart hammering. She swam to her clothes, fumbling with wet fabric, her fingers shaking so badly she couldn't manage her bra clasp. The silence between them felt alive, heavy with everything they'd never said. I'm dressed, she finally managed. When he turned back, his mask was in place. The CEO, the billionaire. But his eyes still burned. I'm sorry, he said. I shouldn't have. How much did you see? The question hung between them like a live wire. His jaw tightened. Enough to know I'll never look at you the same way again. The honesty in his voice stopped her heart. We should get back, Sophia said quickly. Before someone notices, will they? He took a step closer. Or will they assume what they've been whispering about for months? What have they been whispering? That I favor you. That there's a reason I keep you working late. That I trust you with projects no one else touches. He moved closer still. They're partially right. About what? His hand reached out, brushing a wet strand of hair from her face. The touch was so gentle, it hurt. That you're special to me. That you have been since the first day you walked into my office and refused to let me intimidate you. Sophia couldn't breathe. This couldn't be happening. Julian, we can't, I know. His voice dropped to something raw and desperate. God, I know. But seeing you tonight, so free and beautiful and completely yourself, I can't pretend anymore. Pretend what? That I'm not completely impossibly in love with you. The words shattered everything. Before she could respond, voices echoed through the trees. Other executives coming closer. Julian stepped back immediately, his expression shuddering. Go. I'll wait 10 minutes. Sophia moved toward the trail on trembling legs. But she paused, looking back at him standing alone in the fading light, looking more lost than she'd ever seen him. Julian, she called softly. You're not the only one who's been pretending. She disappeared down the path, leaving him standing there. Neither of them saw the figure watching from the shadows. Diana Monroe lowered her phone, smile curving her lips as she reviewed the photos she'd just taken. Photos of everything. Sophia didn't sleep. She dressed with extra care the next morning. Charcoal gray suit, like armor. Her hair pulled back tight, professional, untouchable. Safe. The breakfast meeting was torture. Julian sat at the head of the table, discussing quarterly projections like nothing had happened. His voice was steady, his argument sharp. Only Sophia noticed his coffee cup trembling, the way his eyes avoided hers with surgical precision. Sophia, you've been quiet this morning. Diana Monroe's voice cut through the room like glass. I hope the mountain air isn't overwhelming you. Some people aren't built for executive-level retreats. The insult was wrapped in silk, but everyone heard it. Sophia lifted her chin. Actually, I found it incredibly refreshing. Sometimes the best ideas come when you step away from the usual environment. Speaking of which, Julian interjected smoothly. Sophia, I'd like you to present your European expansion proposal this afternoon. Diana's eyes narrowed to slits. I wasn't aware Sophia was working on European expansion. That falls under my department. It's a collaborative effort.
Ow.
Julian's tone carried a warning. Unless you object to fresh perspectives, the silence that followed was sharp enough to cut. After the meeting, Sophia tried to slip away, but Julian caught her in the empty hallway. His hand closed around her wrist, gentle but desperate. We need to talk. Really talk. Julian, we can't. The old observatory? 9 tonight, please. Before she could answer, footsteps echoed behind them. He released her wrist and walked away without looking back. The observatory sat at the highest point of the resort, abandoned years ago. Sophia climbed the stone steps as darkness fell, her breath fogging in the cold mountain air. Julian was already there, standing at the edge of the circular platform, looking out at the valley below. I built my first company when I was 19, he said, without turning around. I was ruthless, brilliant, empty. I told myself success was enough, that needing someone was weakness. He finally turned to face her, and the pain in his eyes made her chest ache. Then you walked into my office 2 years ago with your portfolio and your fire, and you looked at me like I was just a man. Not a CEO, not a billionaire, just a man who needed to stop talking and listen. Julian, I'm 42. Sophia, I've built an empire. I've dated actresses and heiresses and women who saw only my bank account, but I have never, not once, felt what I feel when you're in the room. He moved closer, his voice dropping. I'm not good at this, at being vulnerable, at wanting something I can't control or acquire or negotiate for. But I'm standing here, risking everything I've built, because the thought of not trying is worse than any failure. Sophia felt tears burning her eyes. Do you know what will happen if we do this? Diana already suspects. HR will investigate. The board will force one of us out. Probably me, then I'll leave. She stared at him. What? I'll leave Sterling Enterprises. I built it, but I can build another. What I can't build is another you. The words broke something inside her. She closed the distance between them, her hands finding his face, and kissed him with 2 years of restrained longing. He responded immediately, his arms wrapping around her, pulling her against him like she was the only solid thing in a spinning world when they finally broke apart. Breathless, he rested his forehead against hers. We'll be careful, he whispered. We'll navigate this together. Nothing has to change until what? Diana's voice echoed across the observatory. They sprang apart. Diana stepped from the shadows, her phone held up, recording. Until you finish destroying everything I've worked for, she laughed, cold and sharp. I've spent 15 years at Sterling. 15 years watching men like you hand opportunities to pretty girls who spread their legs. Diana, it's not, Sophia started. Save it. Diana's finger hovered over her phone. I have photos from yesterday. Video from tonight. 1 email to the board, and you're both finished. Julian, they'll force you out for ethics violations. Sophia, you'll be blacklisted from every firm in the industry. Julian's voice turned to ice. What do you want? Diana smiled. Europe. Complete control of the European expansion. And Sophia's resignation. Effective immediately. No, Julian said instantly. Then I pressed send. Diana's thumb moved toward the screen. Wait, Sophia's voice came out steady, though her heart was shattering. She looked at Julian, memorizing his face. I'll resign. Sophia, no, it's the only way. She forced herself to smile, even as tears spilled down her cheeks. You've built Sterling from nothing. I won't let you lose it because of me. Don't care about Sterling, but I do. She touched his face one last time. I care about you. And I won't be the reason your legacy burns. She turned to Diana. Delete the photos. Give him Europe. I'll be gone by Monday. Diana's smile was victorious. Smart girl. Sophia walked away without looking back. Behind her, she heard Julian's voice, raw with anguish, calling her name, but she kept walking. Some sacrifices were worth making, even when they destroyed you. 6 months later, Sophia sat in a cramped studio apartment in Brooklyn, staring at her laptop screen. Freelance work kept her rent paid, barely, But the real wound wasn't financial. It was the silence. Julian hadn't called, hadn't texted, nothing, she told herself. It was better this way, cleaner. She'd made her choice. A knock at the door startled her. She wasn't expecting anyone. When she opened it, Marcus Chen stood in the hallway. Julian's attorney? His best friend since college? We need to talk, Marcus said. His usual calm demeanor was cracked, urgent. May I come in? Sophia stepped aside, her pulse quickening. Marcus didn't sit. He pulled out his phone, his hands shaking slightly. Diana Monroe has been embezzling from Sterling for 3 years. We just discovered it. $2 million moved through shell companies in the Cayman Islands. Sophia's breath caught. What? The European expansion? She demanded. It was her exit strategy. She planned to siphon funds through fake vendors, blame it on operational costs, and disappear. Marcus's voice hardened. But that's not why I'm here. He pulled up a video on his phone. Showed it to her. It was Diana, in Julian's office. The night after Sophia left, on screen, Diana leaned against Julian's desk, smiling. You look devastated. She really meant something to you, didn't she? Julian sat behind his desk, his face carved from stone. What do you want, Diana? I want you to know the truth. Diana's smile turned cruel. There were no photos from the waterfall. No video from the observatory. I deleted them immediately. The phone nearly slipped from Sophia's hands. You're lying, Julian said on the video, but his voice shook. I'm really not. I bluffed and she folded like cheap cards. Because she loved you enough to sacrifice herself? Diana laughed. The irony is beautiful. You could have had her. Should have fought for her. But you let her walk away. You let me win. The video ended. Sophia couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. The room spun. Julian collapsed that night, Marcus said quietly. Stress-induced cardiac event. He's fine now, physically. But Sophia? He's not fine. He blamed himself for not fighting harder. For letting you sacrifice yourself for nothing? Where is he? Sterling Enterprises. Top floor. He's there every night, working himself to death. Marcus moved toward the door, then paused. He still loves you. He's just convinced he doesn't deserve you. After Marcus left, Sophia sat in the silence, rage and grief warring inside her. Diana had played them both, had taken everything. But Diana had made one mistake. She'd underestimated what Sophia would do for revenge. Sophia opened her laptop, started typing. 6 months of watching from the outside had taught her something valuable. She knew Sterling's systems, knew their vulnerabilities, and she knew exactly how to prove Diana's crimes. 3 hours later, she had everything. Bank records, email trails, communications with fake vendors, proof of embezzlement detailed enough to send Diana to prison. She encrypted the files, sent them to Marcus, then sent a single message to Julian's personal email, the one only she knew about. Meet me at the waterfall. Tomorrow at sunset? Come alone. Trust me one more time. She hit send before she could second-guess herself. Tomorrow, everything would change. Either they'd reclaim what Diana stole, or they'd burn together. But this time, Sophia wouldn't walk away without a fight. The next evening, Sophia stood at the waterfall, her heart pounding. The sun hung low, painting everything gold and crimson. She heard footsteps behind her. Julian stopped at the tree line. He looked thinner, older, exhausted, but his eyes still held that same intensity. You came, she whispered. You asked me to trust you? I always have. He moved closer, his voice rough. Marcus told you. About Diana's lie, she played us both. I should have fought for you, Julian said, and the pain in his voice made her chest ache. I should have called, should have found you, should I have proof of her embezzlement? Everything we need to destroy her. Julian went still. What? Sophia pulled out a flash drive. Bank records, emails, transactions. Enough to send her to prison for 20 years. It's yours. Take it to the board. End this. He stared at the flash drive, then at her. Why are you giving this to me? Because she took 6 months of our lives. She doesn't get to take anything else. Julian's hand closed over hers, the flash drive trapped between their palms. Come back. To Sterling. To me? I'll make this right, Julian. I don't care what anyone thinks. I don't care about the board or HR or any of it. I care about you. Only you. He pulled her against him, his lips finding hers with desperate intensity. She kissed him back, tasting salt from tears she hadn't realized were falling. When they broke apart, he pressed his forehead to hers. We'll go to the board together. Tomorrow, we'll end Diana. Then we'll figure out the rest. Together, Sophia agreed. They stood there as darkness fell, the waterfall rushing beside them. Finally, on the same side. But neither of them saw the shadow moving through the trees. Diana Monroe had always been good at tracking her enemies, and she had no intention of going down without taking them both with her. The Sterling Enterprises boardroom fell silent as the final piece of evidence appeared on screen. Bank transfers. Shell companies. $2 million funneled through fake European vendors. Diana sat motionless at the conference table, her face carved from ice. Miss Monroe, the board chairman said, his voice grave. Do you have anything to say? Before Diana could answer, the boardroom doors exploded open. Federal agents flooded in, led by a woman in a dark suit holding up a badge. Diana Monroe, you're under arrest for wire fraud, embezzlement, and money laundering. The room erupted. Diana stood slowly, her eyes finding Julian and Sophia across the table. Her smile was cold, poisonous. You think you've won? She said softly. You have no idea what's coming. As agents cuffed her, Diana leaned close to Sophia. Check your email, sweetheart. I sent it before I came here. Insurance policy. Sophia's blood turned to ice. She grabbed her phone with shaking hands. The email was there. Sent to every major media outlet, every competitor, every business journal. Subject line. Sterling Enterprises CEO's secret affair and cover-up. Contained everything. Photos from the waterfall. Video from the observatory. Fabricated evidence of Julian using company resources to hide the relationship. False testimonies from paid witnesses claiming Sophia slept her way to promotions. God, Sophia whispered. Julian read over her shoulder. His face went white. She's trying to take us down with her. Marcus burst into the boardroom. Julian, we have a problem. The story's already going viral. Twitter's exploding. The stock is dropping. The board chairman stood, his expression grim. Julian, I'm sorry. But given the nature of these allegations, the board has no choice. We need your resignation. Effective immediately. What? Sophia stood, her voice sharp. Diana fabricated most of that evidence. She's trying to destroy us from prison. It doesn't matter, another board member said coldly. The damage is done. Our reputation is compromised. Investors are panicking. Julian's voice was quiet. Fine. You'll have my resignation by end of day. Julian. No, Sophia grabbed his arm. And Sophia Carter receives a full severance package, a glowing reference, and legal support against any defamation claims stemming from this incident. The chairman nodded. Agreed. Outside the boardroom, Sophia followed Julian into his office. He moved to the window, staring out at the city below. You just gave them everything, she said. 15 years of building Sterling, gone. It's just a company. He turned to face her, and his eyes held a strange peace. I can build another, but I can't rebuild you if Diana's lies destroy your career. That's not fair. This isn't your burden to carry alone. Julian crossed to her, taking her hands. Then let's carry it together. No more secrets. No more hiding. We face whatever comes next, side by side. Sophia felt tears burning her eyes. The media will tear us apart. Let them. I'm done caring what strangers think. He touched her face. I love you. I should have said it 6 months ago. I'm saying it now. I love you, Sophia Carter, and I'm not letting you go again. I love you too, she whispered. Even though you're unemployed now, he laughed, the sound breaking through the tension. I happen to know you're good at freelance work. Maybe we'll start something together, yeah. She smiled despite everything. What did you have in mind? Something smaller, honest. Ours. He kissed her gently. No board. No, Diana. Just us. Building something that matters. Sophia wrapped her arms around him, breathing in his scent. For the first time in months, she felt safe. Whole. Together, she said. Together, he agreed. 2 months later, they sat in a small office space in Brooklyn, surrounded by laptops and coffee cups and vision boards. Their new company was tiny, risky, beautifully imperfect. Marcus appeared in the doorway, grinning. You two need to see this. He pulled up a news article on his phone. The headline read, Diana Monroe sentenced to 15 years for massive corporate fraud. Below it, another article. Former Sterling CEO Julian Kane launches ethical marketing firm with partner Sophia Carter. Early investors call it revolutionary. Sophia looked at Julian. He was smiling, really smiling, in a way she'd never seen at Sterling. Happy? She asked. He pulled her close. Getting there? You? She kissed him, tasting coffee and promise and new beginnings. Yeah, I really am. Outside, the Brooklyn afternoon faded to evening. Inside, they planned their future. No more secrets. No more hiding. Just to people who'd survived the worst and chosen each other anyway. But in a minimum security facility upstate, Diana Monroe sat in her cell, plotting her appeal. She'd lost this round, but the game wasn't over. Not yet. 3 years later, Sophia stood at the edge of the waterfall, her hand resting on her swollen belly. 7 months pregnant. And she'd insisted on making the climb one last time before the baby arrived. Julian stood behind her, his arms wrapped protectively around her waist. You're sure this was a good idea? I needed to see it again. She leaned back against him. This is where everything started, where we stopped pretending. Waterfall thundered beside them, exactly as it had that first evening. But everything else had changed. Their company had grown beyond their wildest expectations. Ethical marketing practices, transparent partnerships, genuine care for employees had proven more profitable than anyone predicted. They'd been featured in Forbes. Harvard Business School used them as a case study, but the real victory was simpler. They'd built something together. Something honest. I got a letter today, Julian said quietly. From Diana. Sophia stiffened. What did it say? That she's being released early. Good behavior. She wants to meet. To apologize? Do you believe her? Julian was quiet for a long moment. I don't know. Part of me wants to. The part that remembers she was brilliant once, before ambition poisoned her. He turned Sophia to face him. But I don't need her apology. I already have everything I want. Sophia touched his face. What if she tries something? What if then we'll handle it together, like we always do? The sun was setting, painting the water gold and crimson. Sophia remembered standing here 3 years ago, heartbroken and alone, thinking she'd sacrificed everything. She'd been wrong. She hadn't lost anything. She'd just been making room for something better. I have something to tell you, Julian said. His voice held a nervous edge she rarely heard. What? He reached into his jacket, pulled out a small box, opened it. The ring inside caught the fading light, simple and perfect. I know we said we didn't need marriage, that what we had was enough. But Sophia, I want the world to know you're mine. I want our child to see that commitment matters, that love isn't just words, it's a choice you make every single day. Tears spilled down Sophia's cheeks. Julian, marry me. Not because it makes sense or looks good or satisfies anyone else. Marry me because I love you so completely it terrifies me. Because I want 50 more years of building things together. Because you're the only person who's ever seen past the armor to the man underneath. Sophia laughed through her tears. Yes, God, yes. He slipped the ring on her finger, then kissed her with the same desperate intensity as that first night. When they broke apart, both breathless, He rested his forehead against hers. "We're going to be okay," he whispered. "Whatever comes next, Diana, the baby, the company, we're going to be okay. How do you know?" "Because we already survived the worst. Everything else is just details." They stood there as darkness fell, the waterfall rushing beside them. Two people who'd lost everything and found each other in the ruins, who'd chosen love over safety, truth over comfort, each other over everything else. In the distance, a phone buzzed. Julian pulled it out, glanced at the screen. His expression went carefully neutral. "What is it?" Sophia asked. "Diana? She's at the resort. She wants to meet tonight." Sophia felt ice slide down her spine. But she took Julian's hand, feeling the weight of her engagement ring. The life growing inside her, the future they'd built together. "Then we go together," she said. "We end this. Once and for all?" Julian nodded. "Together." They walked down the trail hand in hand, toward whatever came next. The waterfall's roar faded behind them, but its memory remained. A reminder that sometimes the most beautiful things are born from moments of complete vulnerability. Sometimes you have to risk everything to gain what truly matters. And sometimes, love is worth the fall. At the resort, Diana Monroe waited in the shadows, watching them approach. Her smile was unreadable. In her pocket, her fingers closed around a flash drive containing 3 years of surveillance, planning, and one final play. She'd lost the battle. But the war was far from over. "Hello, Julian. Sophia?" Diana stepped into the light. "We need to talk." Sophia's hand tightened on Julian's. Whatever Diana had planned, they'd face it together. No more running. No more hiding. No more fear. "Then talk," Julian said, his voice steady. Diana's smile widened. She pulled out the flash drive, held it up. "I spent 3 years in prison thinking about revenge. About destroying you both?" She paused, studying their faces. "But then I realized something. You already won. You have everything I wanted and could never have. Love, partnership, purpose." She held out the flash drive. "This contains everything I gathered. Every piece of dirt, every weakness, every vulnerability." "Ow!" Her voice softened. "Take it. Destroy it. I'm done fighting. I'm done being the villain in your story." Julian took the flash drive carefully. "Why? Because I'm tired," Diana said simply. "And because maybe, just maybe, watching you two actually makes me believe redemption is possible." She turned to leave, then paused. "Congratulations on the baby. And the engagement. You deserve happiness." She disappeared into the darkness, leaving them standing alone. Sophia looked at Julian. "Do you believe her?" "I don't know." Pulled out a lighter, held the flash drive over a nearby trash can. "But I choose to." He lit the flash drive on fire. They watched it burn together, 3 years of fear and secrets turning to ash. "Come on," Julian said, taking her hand. "Let's go home." They walked back to the car, their fingers intertwined, their future stretching before them like an open road. The past was finally behind them. The present was theirs. And the future held nothing but promise. That night, in their Brooklyn apartment, Sophia fell asleep in Julian's arms, safe, loved, complete. And somewhere across the city, Diana Monroe sat alone in a modest apartment, staring at her reflection. For the first time in years, she didn't see a villain. She saw a woman who'd lost everything and was learning slowly to rebuild. Maybe redemption was possible after all. The waterfall continued to flow in the mountains, unchanged by human drama. A secret place where two people had found each other, where love had been born from vulnerability and sacrifice, and where, years from now, they would bring their children to teach them the most important lesson of all, that the bravest thing you can do is let someone see you completely. Scars and all, because that's where real love begins. In the falling, the end.